I'm excited to tell you a story and to talk to you today about this all intimidating topic. Because I have good news for you. You can teach this crazy subject. I know this is super intimidating, but I have a secret to show you how to unlock this. You can teach math. Oh, that should feel really good. So wherever you are, say hi. Let me know where you're coming from while I tell you a story that's going to show you why I know you can teach math. I lived in San Diego as a little girl for about 20 years. And on this one property that we had, my parents had an orange grove. And one of my very favorite things to do in a sunshiny day, which was almost every day in San Diego, was to go out in the grove and pick the perfect navel orange off the tree. And there were so many to choose from. I actually became a master orange peeler because of it. And all the kids in the neighborhood would come to Becky to learn, or not to learn, but to have her peel the orange. And this has everything to do with homeschooling, and it has everything to do with teaching math. Imagine for a second, and I have to keep peeling because it's part of the story. Imagine for a second that you're teaching a particular grade in homeschooling or in a classroom. So you're teaching kindergarten, first grade, 12th grade, doesn't matter. This outer peel is the grade that you're teaching. And I want you to know that inside is where the magic for teaching math lies. So you have to peel back that outer shell. This one's tougher because I no longer live in San Diego. The oranges come from very far away. But inside is where all the magic is. You have to peel back the grade. I should have peeled this one. This one doesn't want to, because I said I was a master orange peeler, it doesn't want to come off. So just a second, I'm going to peel it. Inside, behind the peel of the grade, behind the peel of the orange, are these sections inside, right? We know what the inside of an orange looks like. This one is not being very cooperative, so I'm just going to partially peel it like this. Oh, it's juicy. Inside the orange are all these individual pieces. This is the key to teaching any subject, but particularly math. The very first thing you want to do when teaching math is to recognize that that outer peel is the grade. So you want to peel back the grade and see what's inside. Don't buy it. You don't need $50,000 worth of curriculum to teach math. Instead, you have to peel and see, well, what does a first grader really need to know? What are the parts and pieces of math that a young child or an older child needs to know? So you peel it back and you find things there under the category of goals or objectives or standards. You find the thing that age group needs to know. So we're going to, for just as a benchmark, we're going to talk about kindergarten because it's easy and I can do it off the top of my head. But this works for any age and grade. You peel back the grade and you say, okay, what does my child need to know? Now, in the descriptions, I want you to see that I'm working on translating standards of what is it that kids need to know into I can teach my child statements. So if your child needs to learn how to count, and in kindergarten, they should be able to count to 100. Those standards will say things like, I can teach my child to count to 100 because I'm guessing like you, like me, your house has things in it that you can count. So the very first thing you do is you peel back that outer layer and you look for what are the things that my child needs to know. This is why math curriculum gets confusing, because you open a math book to page 17 and you go, I don't know how to do that. But the way that they presented the problem is not the issue. You need to dig into it and say, well, what is it that child needs to learn? So do they need to count? Do they need to learn how to compare things bigger or smaller? So there's all kinds of skills that kids would need to learn. Once you identify the skills, once you've peeled back the outer layer, so whatever grade it is, you peel it to reveal the things on the inside that that child really needs to learn at that grade level. And there's not a ton of them. Every grade has very countable standards or objectives that a child should learn for math. So in kindergarten, they need to learn things like count, or to know the big word is ordinal numbers. So they need to know first, second, third, fourth. They need to be able to compare bigger than, smaller than. They need to be able to measure a little bit, identify colors, patterns, shapes. I know what a circle is. I know what a star is. And I'm guessing that you do as well. Hello, these are things that we can teach our kids. So you peel back the outer layer, you find those objectives, those standards, those skills that the kids need to learn. And then I'm going to put the word seek. Oh, this was a magic revelation to me. When I saw the objective was to teach shapes to my kids, I closed the books and put them away. I can teach my kids shapes. This worked all the way through high school math. I personally, this is not to toot my horn, so I'm okay with math all the way up until algebra. And then I need a book or a video to help me remember those things in algebra. So I open a list of what my kids need to know on any grade, peel it back to the goals, and then I start looking for ways to do it. In any math book that you look at, if you open to the table of contents, you will see that there are between 12 and 16 master units of things that your child needs to learn according to the publisher that year. So you look at the table of contents, it might say things like reducing fractions. For kindergarten, it might be recognizing shapes, counting to 100, comparing sizes, measuring, identifying a pattern. These are things that you can do with objects around your house. So if your kids are into Matchbox cars, you can do it with Matchbox cars. Barbies, you can do it with Barbie shoes. Cooking, you can do it with everyday items in the kitchen. Hey, is this bigger or less, bigger or smaller than this? Super easy to do. So you peel back the outer layer and you find the objectives. Then you seek for ways for you to teach it. Hey, if you get stuck, that's when you use the math book. You go to the math book because you go, I don't remember how to reduce a fraction. So now you use the math book as a tool for you so that when you're cooking brownies or cookies or some keto friendly thing, you can figure out how to cut a recipe in half so that now you're having to work with odd fractions. So you seek for ways for you to do it yourself. Mama, you've got this. I can teach my child. Do not let the books make you feel dumb. Oh, give me a thumbs up and a heart and hooray if you have ever felt less than because you looked at a page inside of a child's textbook and then you suddenly felt like you can't do this. You can't teach your child. You can't do it. I don't remember. Math is a struggle here, stuck in 3rd grade, 6th grade, and above in everything else. So it's peeling it back to the common things that kids need to learn. Basic math, that's the stuff that we stand on every day. That's how we know at the grocery store that this can of refried beans is cheaper than this can of refried beans, even though this one is smaller. You're able to look and compare. It's that foundational math that as homeschool moms, as parent educators, that's what we need to give our kids. And here's the secret. By the time they move out, you don't have to master it by 3rd grade, 6th grade, 12th grade. You just have to master those foundational things before you fly the coop, before you have to cut a piece of granite that cost a fortune. You want to have known that, oh, I should measure it twice before I cut it. I should make sure that I use the same ruler when I measure the granite as when I measure the space in the kitchen. Foundational math. So when you peel back the math concepts and you identify the objectives, the goals, the standards, then you look for ways that you can teach those things to your kids. This is confidence building 102. This, you start to feel like, hey, I can do this. And the textbook loses its grip on you. It becomes lighter and lighter and lighter as you go. The next thing that you need to do, this is important, especially if when you see this word, you start to break out into a cold sweat. A lot of us grew up not liking math, even kind of being scared of it a bit. Don't be afraid of it. You need to find ways to enjoy math with your kids. The way that I personally do this is I use this thing, this whiteboard. Paper and pencil are not required to do math. We do math on a whiteboard. We also do math. So I'm just going to list some of the ways that I have made math fun with my kids. Yes, I have had them use paper and pencil. I do. Because I do think that that fine motor development is important. And I think that they should be able to do math on paper by the time they're in college and doing math with other people. But to enjoy math, we do math by baking. Now, I have a big family, so any recipe that I find needs to be doubled, tripled, or quadrupled. So we do that math together. Right in my cookbooks, the kids will help me expand recipes, and then we'll do the math so that the fractions are bigger. So we do it with baking. We do whiteboards. In the old days, we did chalkboards. That was a long time ago. So whiteboards, my very favorite way to do math is on the window. With the dry erase markers. You get a kid that's frustrated with math at your kitchen table with paper and pen. You take the paper away and you write the math problem on the window, and suddenly math is just, they're like, what? I get to write on the window? Then teach them how to use Windex after. Cooking, planning a trip, grocery shopping, card games. Oh my goodness, yes, cards. You can Google how to fill in the math concept, how to do this with a deck of cards, and you're going to get more ideas than you can think of. So card games, games that include money. You can take a jar of coins. So a lot of us, did you know that there's a national shortage of coins? I have more than 14 coins in my house, and I'm guessing you do too. So you put them in a jar, and then for math, you just dump them out on the table, and then age-appropriate math. Little kids can put the brown coins over here and the silver coins over there. Sorting, remember, sorting is one of the things that it's a life skill. You need to sort laundry. You need to sort good choices and bad choices. So sorting, you dump the coins out, brown coins, silver coins, big coins, little coins, okay? Coins with people's faces up or not faces up, so heads or tails. They can separate the coins that way. As they get older, you can just count the coins. As they get older, you can count by 1, count by 5, count by 10, count by 25, count by 50, count by $1, depending on your denomination of coins. You can also play the give me change back. So you can take a deck of cards, flip over 2 cards, add them together, figure out what that is, whatever that is. And then you can say, okay, from $1, if you paid that, how much change should you get? So you can do all kinds of counting up, counting back. You can take a huge pile of coins and count it. How much money is it? And then count it again. And you have to get it right 3 times in a row in order for you to know that you counted those coins correctly. So coins, counting money. I'm telling you, Kids love to play with money. So you can teach math if you can peel back that outer core, that outer thing, which is grade or a season in homeschooling, identify the objectives and the goals within the topic. Once you find what the goals are, then you seek for ways that you can do that creatively without a piece of paper and pencil, and you'll be like the most favorite mom on the planet. You can do math with sidewalk chalk. Sidewalk chalk. You can do math with all kinds of games. You can do math. You might hear my dog in a second. I hear him jumping like crazy. You can do math with flashcards. You can't see it on the screen. So sidewalk chalk is another way to take math outside, and you can mix ages and grades by having younger kids color sums or color shapes or use a spray bottle to erase wrong answers. Super fun. So find a way to take what you know and to take it away from a piece of paper. Make it fun, make it a craft. There's all kinds of math crafts out there. So you've gone from peeling back, you're seeking, you're enjoying, and the last thing is celebrate. Math gets a bad rap because the textbooks make us feel less than. You are not less than. You can teach your kids to add, subtract, multiply, divide, measure, compare, sort, figure out what pattern comes next. You can teach them decimals because you understand money. You can focus on fractions because you can learn to bake together. Apparently, everybody on the planet is baking right now because I can't find yeast in the stores anywhere. I've baked forever, but apparently everybody else on the planet has decided to learn to bake at the same time. So you can learn to bake with your kids. Add, subtract, multiply, divide, decimals, fractions, percentages. I'm going to give you a secret decoder key just a second. I have a thing for percentages. Basic measures. All these things are foundational math that should be rock solid before your kids leave, before they move out, so that they can identify good deals, so they can balance their checking accounts, so that they can understand the percentage of interest and how that impacts. Should they refinance their home right now? Should they not refinance their home right now? What does that percentage have to do with the end dollar amount? So these are basic things that as a mom, as a parent, teach my kids at home, you don't have to let that math book. This does not rule the universe. Yep, this is where I am with my youngest child, and this is algebra. And so this is what you do is you look at the table of contents, and it doesn't matter what curriculum you use, truly and absolutely positively, it does not matter what curriculum. If it's what you have, use it. If it works, use it. If it doesn't work, hide it. Throw it away, burn it, give it to somebody else. I've used almost every math curriculum on the planet, but I use them all this same way. I go to the table of contents and I look. See, I said 12 to 16. I'm at home, so I can lick my fingers to turn the pages. There are 17 topics inside of this book. I don't remember how many weeks there are in a traditional school year. There are 180 days to a traditional school year. So that's why there are less than 180 lessons. But what I personally have always done is I look at the headings, the units, and I ask myself, can I do that? If I can do that, then I don't even look at the book for that section. Can I do that? Okay, so like in this one, can I do simple equations? Can I add, subtract, and move things around? Yep. Do I understand negative numbers? Yep. Can I work longer equations? Yep. So far, I don't need this math book all the way up through page 131. But that's because I have a solid foundation all the way up through algebra. When you are looking at your kindergartner's book, your first grader, second grader, third grader, that set, kindergarten through third, fourth grade, is going to include all those basic things, the adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, measuring, patterns, shapes, understanding how these things relate to one another, and they repeat through the books. So the coolest part about teaching math is that once you understand what your child's grade needs, what they recommend that your child, what they're really saying is that, hey, if your child is in this age group, these are the things that they're going to be learning for the next 3 to 4 years. So you don't move past playing with fractions, well, ever, but once you learn fractions, you have years for them to master it. So don't get frustrated if they don't understand it or even you don't understand it, but use your book as a tool for you to look for, hey, what kinds of things can I do if I'm going to the park today? And if I'm going to bring all of my kids, is there a math concept that we can do at the park? Well, sure, we can estimate how long it takes us to get from home to the park, because estimating is a math skill. What else can we do? When we get to the park, we can estimate how many kids there are in the park. There's between this and this many kids at the park right now. And when we're at the park, we can look for geometric shapes when we're at the park. Do we see anything that's man-made in a shape? Can we identify the shapes? Are there more popular shapes at the park than we anticipated? So there's lots of triangles tend to be at the park. We can play with area and perimeter. We can even play with distance and speed. We can do relay races. We can do games that include points, and we can play with, okay, each point is worth 17. So every time you score, that's 17 points. Oh, don't tell the kids you're doing math. They want to earn 17 points every time they do it. So 17 plus 17 is what? And then play dumb. And they have to figure it out. So make up stuff, make up games, bring math on the road with you, enjoy it, and then celebrate. You know, you get to the end of a thing where they finally conquer fractions or decimals, celebrate it in some fun way. So if they master fractions, then make something out of fractions. Like pizza is really good. I have a really good recipe for pizza, but you can do pizza celebrations, food. I've got 5 sons, so we try to connect food with everything we do, because if they can eat it, they're more all in. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Before I let you go, I know, Janine, you have kids that are older. So you said 6th grade and above. I can't remember when percentages start to pop into play. So for anybody that has older kids, I'm going to teach you what my friend Jamie taught me about percentages. And I want you to see this because it's what I call a secret decoder ring. And we will end on this. So I'm going to erase my beautiful thing. And we're going to talk percentages for a second. So I'm going to make the percent sign. Percentages tend to come at you in 3 different formats. And we're going to use easy numbers, because once you understand how it works, then you can increase the numbers. So we're going to use the number 10 and 100. So most or a lot of math percentages would be, what is 10% of 100? So that's one format of a percentage, but then there's 2 others where you can mix things around. Most people know how to do this. What is a percent of a number? Most people know how to do that. But what if you have 10 is what percent of 100? So now you don't know this, well, you don't know what the percentage is. And then the last one, this secret decoder works for them all. So hang tight, it's worth it. Okay, so the last one is if you don't know what the final number is. So let's say 10 is 10% of what number? Okay, so here you can see, I don't know what the what is. Here you can see, I don't know what the percentage is. And here you can see that you don't know the 10 is what percent of what's that final number. So you can see that they're all percentages looking at it from different angles, right? Let me change this. Okay, so here is the secret decoder. You use this for all percentage problems. If it's a word problem, caveat, if it's a word problem, you have to read the problem enough times, and for me, it takes 3 or 10. I'm not very good at word problems. So you read the problem until you can find the question. It always starts with the question. So you have your child write the question, or you write the question down on a piece of paper. So you need the question first. Then you need the secret decoder clue. Are you ready? Okay, this, Jamie, I asked my friend, I'm like, can I make an appointment with you? Because I know how to do this, but I don't know how to do this. And I need like half an hour of your time to teach me so that I can teach my kids percentages. And Jamie went like this, girl, I can teach you that in 2 minutes. Let me just get a napkin. She goes, 30 seconds. And she, on a napkin, she changed my mathematical mind forever. Okay, so decoder, this is what you write down. First, you write down the question. These are 1, 2, 3 different questions. You write down an equal sign. And these are fraction bars. So here's a top, a bottom, a top, and a bottom. So this, then you write the word is, and you write the word of. Up here, you write the percentage symbol, and percent is always over 100. So this right here is your secret. This is your secret formula. You write the question down, and then you write this down. Percentage is always in terms of 100. So percentage over 100 equals is over of. This, Jamie calls this the is over of. So you write the question down, you write this down, and now this is like when you're solving any problem, you write the formula down first. So you write this, then you have your child write it again. Yes, I make them write it again because I'm not very nice. On the window or inside buck chalk. Okay, so we write this again, where we go like this, is over of, can you see? So is over of, and now let's work on this one right here. Okay, and now there are 3 parts of a percentage problem. There is an is part. Can you see the is? There's a percentage part. Can you see the percentage? And there is an of part. Is of percent. And now we just fill it in. Do I know the percentage? No, I don't know what the percentage is in this one. So that means we put the X there because we don't know what it is. So we put a letter or a placeholder there. Percentage is always over 100. Okay, so we got that. Do we know what the is? So I look here, oh, 10 is. So 10, so I know the 10 goes here. Do I know what my of is? Yep, of 100. See how it's connected to the of? Once it's here, then you can solve this for X. So looking at my board, I go like this. If I carry this up here so you can see it. Once a problem is set up like this, you do this thing called cross multiply. So you multiply these things together, you get 100x equals, now you multiply these together, 100 times 10, you just slap a 0 on there. Then you have a number times x, so you have to get x by itself. And if I'm losing you, this part is the easy part to learn. This is the secret, okay? So if you don't know how to do this, it's okay. You just cross multiply. On YouTube, there's 100,000.4 videos on how to cross multiply. So just look up cross multiply. So 100x equals 100. You're going to divide to get the x by itself. Whatever you do to one side, you always do to the other. And you're going to be left with x equals 10. Okay, so cross multiply. So that's taking this kind. So the key is writing the question, and then you put marks. I have another color. I have green. Let me try green. Let's see if it has ink. So let's look at this one. I'm going to mark my what is. We don't know what is. So the percentage has 2 lines under it, and the of, it's like that. I'm going to go ahead and mark this one too. My is number, my percentage, and my, I don't know what that number is. So if I was going to solve these, you could do it like this. So I have 3 problems. I have percent over 100 equals is over of. We'll call this problem number 1. Can you see? Yep. Okay, so then I always write my little decoder. So number 1, do I know the percentage? 10. So I write 10%. Is always over 100. When you're working with your kids, you always say that. It's always over 100. Do I know what is? No, so that's where the x goes. But I do know my of number is 100. That goes here. From here, you just cross multiply. So 100x equals 1,000. X equals 10. So 10 is 10% of 100. The next one, if I have space, this last one is this one. So I always start with my is over of. Always have my kids write this is over of. It helps them keep track. Do we know the percentage? Yep, 10%. It's always over what? 100. Then I start looking. Here's my is. 10 is, and I don't know what my what number is. That's where the x goes. So once you have this right here, once you understand that it's basically just fill in the blank, then you mark the question, and then you solve for x. And x is the placeholder that is what you're looking for. So in this one, I'm looking for the number that is 10% of 100. In this one, I'm looking for what percentage of 100 is 10. In this one, I'm looking for, okay, well, if I take 10 and I take 10% of that, what number is that going to be? So this is the is over of secret to mathematics. And I do have a YouTube where I walked through that, so I'll go back and link that again. So math, you can teach your child math. I promise you. Peel back the outer, peel it back, and find what your goals and your objectives are. This orange did not peel beautifully, but just like a section of an orange is its own thing, so are each of those goals that grade, that age group needs to conquer. So sorting can be done before a child can identify a triangle. You can sort the red things from the blue things, the soft things from the sharp things, the tasty things from the yucky things. You can sort things all day long. Leaves from rocks, things that roll from things that don't roll, whatever those sections are. So you peel it back, you find the sections, then you look in your own memory bank. Do I know how to do that? If I know how to do that, I do not need a textbook. Hallelujah. You don't need a textbook. Mama, if you know it, just put the book away. It'll make you look like you're brilliant. And I'm telling you, You want to look like you're brilliant. It's important. Okay, so peel it back. Find the sections. Figure out whether or not you know how to do it. If you know how to do it, then do it the fun way. Do it on the window, sidewalk chalk, with food. Do it like that. Then enjoy it with your kids. Let them see this on your face. Not that there's no makeup on and that you're a mess. The kids don't see that. They just don't. Let them see your smile. Let them see you enjoying conquering the problem. And then celebrate when you actually understand. Together, when you conquer something in math and you finally get it, that's worthy of celebration. And I completely agree. Yay, I'm so glad. Okay, so that's it. So understanding that when you homeschool, you're homeschooling from the inside out. The most important things are the things that my husband and I call the holy trinity of homeschooling, which are heart, attitude, and character. The way that you approach math with your kids will trickle down. So if you're afraid and you're frustrated, they're going to pick that up and they're going to be afraid and frustrated. So don't be that way. You've got this. You can handle it. So heart, attitude, and character. Always, in everything that you do with homeschooling, dig to the core. What's the most important thing? What are the objectives? And then embrace the journey, have fun, and celebrate. So this is Becky with A Better Way to Homeschool. You go have a wonderful day and enjoy your journey teaching your kids together. Bye.